Okay, so what tops every fun fantasy outfit? A cloak. So I've got 3 meters of this gorgeous crushed velvet teal fabric. So today I'm going to sew a very simple project. I'm going to make a cloak and I'm going to show you how to make a cloak as well. This is very beginner friendly, it's super easy. You don't even really need a sewing machine. I will use a sewing machine, but I'll also tell you how you can make it without one. Like I said, probably one of the most beginner friendly projects ever. So let's do this, let's make a cloak, and you can also make a cloak if you want to. First, let's talk about what we need. This is the fabric I'm going to be using. I've got 3 meters of this. It was super cheap, it was on sale, so it actually cost me £3, which is crazy. But yeah, let's have a bit of fun. Let's go. Okay, so for this project, you're going to need around 3 or 4 meters of fabric, depending on how long you want your cloak to be and how tall you are. I'll go a little bit more in depth about measurements in just a moment. Some fabric scissors, you're going to need some matching thread, some pins, and of course, your sewing machine. Like I said, if you're sewing this by hand, you'll need the same as well as a sewing needle. I would also recommend something to mark on the fabric. I use tailor's chalk, but you can also just use a pen. Additionally, you're going to need something to tie the cloak on you, like a clasp or a ribbon, or you can just use the same fabric as the rest of your cloak. Okay, so first thing, you've got your fabric, and you're going to start by laying it flat on the floor and folding it in half. This is called the fold line, and it means when you cut into the fabric, you'll cut through 2 layers. It's important to smooth out the fabric and make sure that everything is laying nice and flat, otherwise your pieces may not be cut accurately, and this can cause you some problems in future. To actually create the cloak shape, we're essentially going to be cutting half a circle skirt in the fabric. You can use the same method to make a skirt since they're the same shapes. Technically you can make a cloak just using a rectangle, but it doesn't give you the nice fullness which I think looks really good in a cloak, whereas using a circle or half a circle really does. Since the fabric is folded in half, we actually only need to cut out what looks like a quarter, because it will then fold out into a half. If maths isn't your forte, you can use an online circle skirt calculator, like the one I've linked in the bio, to calculate the exact measurements of your half circle. For my cloak, I'm using the whole width of the fabric, which in this case is 127 centimetres. I use a tape measure to measure 127 centimetres from the point in the corner to get an accurate curved shape. I then cut around the circumference of the half circle shape. For the circumference of the centre shape, I measure around my neck where I want the cloak to sit. I then took this measurement, I divided it by pi, which is 3.14, then divided that number by 2. This gave me the radius, or this short measurement here. In this case, the radius is just the distance from the point to where you're going to cut. Technically you could leave it here, especially if you don't have enough fabric, but I'm going to add a hood. The shape of the hood is a little bit funky, but it looks like this, just as I'm showing you now. I like my hoods to be quite big, just because I prefer how that looks, so I'm making my shape a little longer than it has to be. You can of course make it smaller or bigger if you want, it's totally up to personal preference. I just prefer the drape of a really long hood. Just like with the body of the cloak, I folded the fabric in half, so I'm cutting over 2 layers, although in this case it doesn't matter about getting the right fold because these pieces will be separate and then sewn together. So I cut out the hood shapes, cutting through 2 layers of fabric so I could have one side of the hood each. I then placed the sides together, right sides facing. That means you've got the 2 outside sides of the fabric facing each other, and then I pin them together along the edge. Next, I use my sewing machine to sew along this line just in a simple straight stitch. I then use my iron to press the seam open. Technically you don't have to do this, but it just makes the fabric sit a lot nicer. I then pin the hood onto the top of the cloak, again right sides facing. With it pinned, I could sew along this line with my machine. So now you essentially have your cloak, you just need to make it functional. What you need is a way to put it on and take it off. So there are a few different ways you can do this. You can use ribbon or make a tie using the fabric we're using at the moment. For my cloak, I'm just going to use a simple hook and eye because I don't really want the tie to be too visible. If you want to use the fabric you've got already, you can just cut a small piece and use it like a ribbon, or you can cut a long rectangle, fold it in half, sew and essentially make a tube out of the fabric. It's totally up to you. So, a super fun, quick, easy project. I love cloaks. I think they're such a good way to use like a few meters of fabric. They're cute. I feel like every good fancy show, what are you doing if there aren't cloaks? There's always cloaks. You've got to have a cloak. Anyway, this is super cute. Kind of reminds me of water, actually. I've been watching recently. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. Season 2 came out pretty recently. I was watching that. I know it's divided people. I enjoyed it. I know some people were not fans. Anyway, I hope this was fun. If you like sewing or if you want to get into sewing, this is such a fun, easy project to do and I highly recommend. Like, you just can't go wrong, can you? Like, you actually just can't go wrong. But yeah, I hope you have a lovely day. Let me know what you think I should make next. I've got my list of things to make is actually ridiculous at this point. Like, someone needs to have a sit down and a word with me because it's actually not okay. But it is okay because I'm an adult and I'm allowed to make these decisions, and if that's what I want to do, it's what I want to do, and we're gonna do it. Have a lovely day and keep sewing.